I already know what you're thinking. Actually, I kind of cheated. I read some of the comments for this video. The Optiplex system is not very pretty. I mean, it's an Optiplex system. It's not supposed to be flashy. It's nothing compared to a custom gaming rig, if you will. But I chose this system for a number of reasons. First off, I bought it refurbished on Newegg. Yes, I paid way more than I probably should have, but only because these are going to be reliable and consistent. They're manufacturer refurbished and they're sold on Newegg, so it's gonna be very easy to get your money back if something arrives in bad shape. If I recommend you buy these on eBay, every seller is going to send this thing in a different condition. They might not have a fresh Windows 10 Pro operating system loaded onto the hard drive or the SSD. In this case, it's peace of mind for me. I paid more for that, yes. If you want to gamble a bit more, eBay is the better option. I just didn't want to put my name behind generic eBay postings. In this case, because it's an entire system, it's harder to ship. Graphics cards and stuff, it's a little different. So there's my justification. But apart from that, another reason why I chose this specific Optiplex 3010 case and build is because you can take this motherboard out of here and throw it into any other micro ATX or full-size ATX case. That's not the case for all Optiplex systems. Some of them will use proprietary boards, weird shapes that you can't really fit because the standoffs are in different locations, or it's just an awkward, dimension, like maybe it's too long for a standard micro ATX, or it's way too tall, but it's really narrow. There's some weird motherboards out there. But in this case, you can transfer that because the micro ATX form factor is sound in here. It's the standard MATX form factor. And then also the 24 pin to 8 pin concern that some of you had when I swapped the new power supply in, that's not always the case. In this case, it was just a standard 24 pin connector, so I could use a standard ATX PSU. Some of the Optiplex systems won't let you do that because they do have a proprietary connector. So I chose this for that reason as well. Also, I mean, come on, you get the optical drive. Who doesn't like optical drives? Anyway, in this video, I'm gonna show you how 50 bucks can go a long way in terms of aesthetics. We were relying just on the performance metrics in the last two builds, where I put together an $800 system that was purely a performance system, didn't really worry too much about aesthetics apart from moderate cable management. And then in the Optiplex video, 400 bucks bare bones, we did what we needed to do to get it to run efficiently. In this video, $50 extra in your budget will go a long way in the looks department, and the case we're going to use to swap everything out in here is the Fractal Design Define Mini C. All right. Now, if you're wondering why I chose the Fractal Design Define Mini C over the Meshify Mini C, which also exists, it's because Fractal doesn't offer the clear TG version of the Meshify Mini C. I keep getting these words backwards. Anyway, you know what I mean. So this one's a clear TG, looks much better in my opinion. And airflow properties, yeah, they're gonna suffer a bit, but it's gonna be significantly better than this case right here. So I think no matter how you look at it, no matter how you try to justify it, you can get the case that you want, you think looks best or performs the best in terms of cooling potential. But anyway, gonna be, again, a big step over this case. So let's get to migrating all of this into this. All right, now we've run into a small issue. I already knew this was coming, but basically this case has hard drive LED, power LED, reset switch, and power switch, all 4, right? And those would generally go in your F panel or front panel connector area on your motherboard. In this case, we have a proprietary power, I guess you want to call this pinout up top. So this is specifically for the power switch. And you can see there's 5 pins there. And without looking up the pinout for this particular board, which I imagine would be difficult to find online at this point in time, I'm going to just jump combinations of these pins. Probably not a good idea, but whatever, it's a cheap system, and yeah, I'm gonna do it for the sake of saving time. So we're gonna see which 2 pins here complete the circuit and power up the whole system, and then those will be the 2 pins that I wire up to the power switch that is integrated into the case. So let's cross our fingers here. Okay, all right, so I figured it out. It's the 2 furthermost right pins. All right, so that makes things pretty simple. Now all we have to do is connect these 2 pins here on this little cable that I cut out, the yellow and black cables here. We need to connect to the front panel cables on the case, and then we should have a fully functioning power button. We won't be able to obviously reset via the switch up top. We won't see hard drive or power LEDs, I don't think, but I mean, it's something, right? At least we can turn on and off the system without having to take the panel off every time. So we've got tiny little wire cutters here at the very end. I think these will work. Looking good. Another good thing about working with just the power switch, polarity doesn't matter. Again, all we're doing is completing a circuit, closing the circuit, if you will. And so it doesn't matter. There's really no negative or positive per se. All right, cool. So I think it works. Let's go ahead and give it a shot. I'm going to push the power button here in 3, 2, 1. Hey! There we go, fixed one problem. Now, I'm not sure what the other pins on the header do. One of them, or a combo of those pins might be for power LED. I'd again have to dig through the pinout on this particular board. Not really interested in doing that at this point. Just want the power button to work, and that is what we fixed here.
Now at this point, you'd probably expect temperatures to fall around 2 to 3 degrees. That's actually exactly what happened. A large reason for that, I think, is the fact that we have an extra fan in here. Both of these fans are just going to be quieter in general. These are the case fans. So if you're going to switch a system like this and stay on a tight budget, I recommend buying a case with case fans already included. Usually I'm not a proponent of that, just because I like to give buyers the freedom of choice and not be stuck paying extra for stuff they might not use. But in the case of a budget system, I don't think that most people are going to have the pleasure or the leniency of being able to pick specific fans that they want, spend extra money on those. So it's nice that 2 are included. I have the one up front that provides the graphics card with a dedicated swarm of air, and then one exhaust fan, which should get rid of the excess heat generated by the CPU. A few other things I do want to touch on very briefly. I mentioned in the last video that the SSD included was particularly slower than I thought it would be. Totally just glossed over the fact that this was a SATA 2 board. So SATA 3, 6 gigabits per second. We don't have that here. It's SATA 2, so 4 gigabits per second, and that actually caps our SSD to around 250 or so megabytes per second for both reads and writes, which is why the SSD was slower than I thought it should have been. This is actually an SK Hynix SSD, which is a perfectly fine SSD. It was just limited by the motherboard's SATA interface. So that's another downside, I suppose, of going with an older platform. Your drive speeds will be limited. So I didn't intend for this video to be super technical, not like the last 2 or 3. I just wanted to show you how far 50 or 60 bucks can go in the looks department. I think this build looks a lot cleaner now, despite the fact that we still have a green motherboard. That's gonna bother me for a while. I think this will help the resale factor, and that's why I did this. So I think I'm too far in now. This is about 450 bucks or so, all in here. Everything inside I spent out of pocket, right? All the stuff I bought, but the case was sent by Fractal. So if I flip it at all, I'll try to sell it for 500 bucks and then hopefully walk away with a $50 profit. But if I have to break even, I will. Well, I'll throw the 50 bucks into like a giveaway or something like that. But I think the biggest downside to this in terms of resale value is the fact that I bought this refurbished on Newegg. If I wanted to straight up flip these, I'd probably buy them, used in okay condition on eBay for 70 or 80 bucks, or buy them in bulk off a pallet or whatever. But I bought refurbished again because I wanted Windows 10 Pro already preloaded. The SSD was nice, 8 gigs of RAM, all that good stuff. and it's got a 1-year limited warranty too, which is something you won't find on most eBay listings. So with that, let me know in the comments what you think about this approach here. Would you spend the extra money on a case or not? Would you just keep it in the Optiplex tower? If you're on a tight budget, I totally understand, but there's also a case to be made for a clean looking build, and in a case like this, I mean, I think it's a 9-day difference. Then again, that extra $50 doesn't get you a single extra FPS. Well, potentially a few if we're talking about temperatures. Maybe you could overclock the graphics card a little bit. Not going to be able to overclock the CPU, so that really doesn't matter. In terms of like sound, it's going to be slightly quieter in this case. There are sound damping pads, at least on the right panel. And then up top, you could also have that mod vent, just kind of close things off. I have the mesh panel up here just because I'm more concerned about airflow than anything else. I'll have passive heat radiate through the top of this thing. But that's just my approach to it. Yours could be totally different. If you guys like this video, thumbs up, you know what to do. Thumbs down for the opposite, or if you hate everything about life, click that red subscribe button if you haven't already. Become a member if you're feeling especially fancy. I do appreciate it. Thanks for watching. You guys have been awesome. This is Science Studio. Thanks for swapping cases with us.